10 errors that prevent your arms from growing and how to fix them. Strong and defined arms are one of the main goals for most men who go to the gym. However, many, even after years of training, fail to achieve this goal. And we know how extremely frustrating this can be, to the point where a person becomes discouraged and starts training just for the sake of training, believing they've reached a point where they would only progress with hormones. The fact is that many don't recognize it, but they are making some basic, yet crucial errors that affect hypertrophy. That's why today you'll see 10 errors that prevent your arms from growing and how to fix them. Stay attentive until the end, because this won't be one of those cliché videos saying you're not eating enough protein or sleeping poorly. These are common errors that happen during training. Before we begin, tell me in the comments your name and how long you've been training. Error number 1. Always doing arm training at the end of your workouts. Most bodybuilding practitioners follow training splits where arms are always trained at the end of the session. It's common to see splits like back and biceps or chest and triceps, where we instinctively prioritize the larger muscle groups first. When you get to the arm exercises, your glycogen stores are already significantly reduced, and your energy is no longer the same. In practice, this means you're giving your arms only what's left over from your training potential. The science of hypertrophy is clear. Muscles that receive priority in training tend to respond better to stimuli. A study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research demonstrated that exercises performed at the beginning of a workout generate greater muscle activation and, consequently, greater potential for hypertrophy. If your arms are truly a weak point and a priority for you, consider dedicating specific days to train them when you are 100% rested, or, at least, alternate the order of exercises, placing arm work at the beginning on some days of the week. An effective strategy is to have an exclusive day for arms, or, if your split doesn't allow it, at least alternate the order. In one week, start with arms before chest or back. In the following week, return to the traditional order. This simple change can make all the difference in the development of your biceps and triceps. Error number 2. Thinking that most arm volume comes from the biceps. One of the most common misconceptions I see in the gym is the obsession with biceps. Men dedicate set after set of various types of curls, believing that this is the path to impressive arms. The truth is surprising to many. Approximately 2/3 of the total arm volume comes from the triceps, not the biceps. The triceps is a significantly larger muscle, composed of 3 distinct muscle heads, while the biceps has only 2. This disproportion in training focus creates an unbalanced development. Many men end up with reasonably developed biceps but underdeveloped triceps, resulting in arms that appear smaller than they could be. To illustrate, imagine building a house, giving 70% of attention to the garden and only 30% to the main structure. The result would be aesthetically unbalanced and functionally compromised. The correction is simple. Balance your training volume to reflect the real anatomical proportion. For each biceps exercise, do at least 2 triceps exercises. If you're doing 9 weekly sets for biceps, you should be doing approximately 18 sets for triceps. Error number 3. Not working the biceps with 3 different elbow positions. A close look at most biceps workouts reveals a concerning pattern: straight curl, hammer curl, and cable or concentration curl. At first glance, it seems like a complete workout, right? Wrong. The fundamental problem is that all these exercises are being executed with the elbow in the same position, alongside the body. This means you're repeatedly stimulating the same muscle fibers, leaving others significantly understimulated. For a complete biceps development, we need to understand its anatomy. The biceps has 2 heads, the short and the long, plus the brachioradialis muscle that also contributes to the overall appearance of the arm. Each of these structures is best activated in different elbow positions. To maximize growth, you need to work the biceps in 3 distinct elbow positions. Elbow in front of the body line. Exercises like the Scott curl or spider curl emphasize the short head of the biceps and provide maximum contraction in the lower portion of the muscle. Elbow at the side of the body. Classics like the straight dumbbell curl or cable curl work the biceps in a balanced way. Elbow behind the trunk line. Exercises like the Bayesian curl or inclined dumbbell curl particularly emphasize the long head of the biceps, crucial for that ball in the arm when viewed from the side. Error number 4. Not working the 3 heads of the triceps. Just as with the biceps, many practitioners fail to understand the complete anatomy of the triceps. This muscle, as the name suggests, has three distinct heads: the long head, the lateral head, and the medial head. Each contributes significantly to the appearance and overall strength of the arm. The long head is the largest of the three and contributes more to the visual volume. The lateral head gives that horseshoe appearance on the outer part of the arm. The medial head, although less visible, is fundamental for strength and stability. To fully develop the triceps, you need exercises that emphasize each of these heads. The angle of the elbow and the position of the arm in relation to the body are determining factors for directing the stimulus. An effective combination includes the French press, rope triceps, and overhead triceps. Here's a golden tip that few know. If you want to go even further in triceps development and have an even more complete workout, include the close grip bench press. This is the only scientifically proven exercise that effectively works the distal triceps, that horseshoe shape we have in the middle of the arm that we so admire in well-developed athletes. A study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research analyzed the muscle activation of different triceps exercises and confirmed that different exercise variations were necessary for the complete activation of the three heads. Error number 5. Failing to maintain constant tension. One of the most fundamental principles of muscle hypertrophy is constant tension, and paradoxically, it's one of the most neglected. Many practitioners sacrifice this crucial principle on the altar of ego, trying to lift excessive loads at any cost. Constant tension refers to maintaining resistance on the muscle throughout the entire range of motion, without moments of rest, where the muscle is relieved of the load. When you sacrifice constant tension for heavier loads, you're essentially reducing the time under tension, a critical factor for hypertrophy. Studies published in the Journal of Physiology demonstrated that mechanical tension is the primary stimulus for muscle hypertrophy. More specifically, continuous tension during prolonged periods is more effective for muscle growth than heavy loads moved quickly with periods of relief. For arm exercises, this means controlling the movement in both the concentric and eccentric phases, avoiding the bounce at the bottom of the movement or complete relaxation at the top. A common error I observe is when practitioners use body momentum to initiate the movement in curls, or when they let the weight fall uncontrolledly in the eccentric phase of triceps exercises. Both practices drastically reduce tension on the muscle. Load certainly matters. Load progression is an indisputable principle of hypertrophy, but it's not everything. Training is fundamentally different from simply lifting weight. The quality of execution frequently outweighs the quantity of weight moved. Try slightly reducing the load and focus on keeping the muscle under constant tension throughout the entire movement. You'll probably feel an immediate difference in the sensation of burning and pumping, indicators of a more intense metabolic stimulus. Error number 6. Moving the elbow in triceps exercises. This is one of the most detrimental technical errors for triceps development, and unfortunately, is extremely common among practitioners of all experience levels. The primary function of the triceps is to extend the elbow, literally straightening the arm. To effectively isolate this muscle, the shoulder, and consequently, the elbow position must remain stable throughout the movement. Any movement of the elbow shifts part of the workload to other muscles, mainly the deltoids and pectorals. In exercises like rope triceps or push down on the cable, it's common to see practitioners moving their elbows forward and backward during execution. This movement not only reduces triceps activation, but also increases the risk of shoulder injuries due to joint instability. The correction is simple conceptually, but requires practice and body awareness. Keep your elbows fixed at the side of the trunk throughout the entire movement in exercises like rope triceps or push down. In exercises like the French press or overhead triceps, keep your arms at a fixed angle in relation to the torso. A practical tip is to imagine that your elbows are glued to the sides of your body. Another effective strategy is to slightly reduce the load to allow for a more controlled execution, gradually increasing the weight as the correct technique becomes natural. Error number 7. Doing everything in one day. A common misconception among fitness enthusiasts is believing that the more exercises and sets performed in a single training session, the better the results will be. However, the physiological reality tells a different story. When you accumulate an excessive volume of training for the same muscle group in a single session, the quality of the last sets inevitably diminishes. Neural fatigue, glycogen depletion, and metabolite accumulation result in lower quality executions, less muscle activation, and consequently, less stimulus for growth. Studies in the field of exercise science have consistently demonstrated that dividing the total training volume into multiple weekly sessions produces superior results in terms of strength and hypertrophy when compared to concentrating the same volume in a single session. For arms, a more effective approach is to distribute the work over 2 or more days in the week. For example, if your goal is to perform 9 weekly sets for biceps, you could do 4 sets one day and 5 on another, with an interval of at least 48 hours between sessions. The same principle applies to triceps. This distribution allows you to approach each session with maximum energy, ensuring that the quality of execution remains high from beginning to end. Additionally, it increases the frequency of the anabolic stimulus, a factor that studies have associated with better hypertrophy results. An additional benefit of this approach is enhanced recovery. Lower volume sessions are less likely to cause excessive muscle damage, allowing for faster recovery and, potentially, a higher training frequency without compromising performance. Error number 8. Poor range of motion. Range of motion is one of the most critical factors for muscle growth, and paradoxically, one of the most frequently sacrificed on the altar of ego. Many practitioners prioritize lifting heavy loads at the expense of partial and incomplete movements, significantly compromising their results. Scientific studies have consistently demonstrated the superiority of full range of motion for muscle hypertrophy. Research published in the European Journal of Applied Physiology found that exercises performed with full range produced approximately 40% more muscle growth compared to partial movements, even when the total volume of work was equated. For arms, this means fully extending the elbow in triceps exercises and fully flexing the elbow in biceps exercises. Each repetition should start with the muscle in a stretched position and end with a complete contraction. A common error I observe in biceps exercises is not fully extending the elbow at the bottom of the movement, eliminating the crucial stimulus of stretching under tension. Similarly, in triceps exercises, many practitioners don't complete the elbow extension, significantly reducing muscle recruitment. The science behind this is clear. Stretching a muscle under load is a potent stimulus for hypertrophy. Additionally, complete contraction maximizes muscle fiber activation and blood pumping, additional factors that contribute to growth. If necessary, reduce the weight to allow for a full range. This is not a concession, it's a superior strategy. Remember, no one in the gym is really impressed with how much weight you're lifting, especially when the technique is visibly compromised. A practical tip: consciously visualize the muscle stretching and contracting during each repetition. This mind-muscle connection not only improves the quality of execution, but also increases muscle activation, as confirmed by various electromyography studies. Error number 9. Not implementing load progression. Load progression is a fundamental principle of strength and hypertrophy training, solidly anchored in exercise science. Without consistent progression, muscles quickly adapt to the current stimulus and growth stagnates, regardless of how intense the workout is. This concept is based on the principle of progressive overload, one of the pillars of exercise physiology. In simple terms, to continue growing, muscles need to be continuously challenged with incrementally larger stimuli. The error many make is getting stuck with the same loads and repetition schemes for weeks or even months. The human body is incredibly adaptable. What was a challenging stimulus a month ago may be insufficient today to provoke new adaptations. A longitudinal study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research demonstrated that individuals who followed a systematic progression protocol obtained 37% greater gains in hypertrophy compared to individuals who trained with consistent loads over the same period. It's crucial to understand that progression is not limited to just increasing the load lifted. There are multiple variables that can be manipulated to create progression: increasing the load, increasing the number of repetitions with the same load, increasing the number of sets, reducing rest time between sets, increasing time under tension, improving the technical quality of execution. For arms, an effective strategy is to alternate progression cycles in different variables. For example, dedicate 3 to 4 weeks focusing on increasing the load, followed by 3 to 4 weeks prioritizing increasing repetitions or improving technique. Error number 10. Neglecting the eccentric phase. The last error, and perhaps one of the most important, is the neglect of the eccentric phase of the movement, that moment when the muscle is being stretched under tension. For arms, this means the lowering phase in the biceps curl, and the elbow flexion phase in triceps exercises. The importance of the eccentric phase for hypertrophy is supported by a robust body of scientific evidence. Studies published in the Journal of Applied Physiology demonstrated that eccentric work causes greater controlled muscle damage, a crucial precursor for muscle growth, compared to isolated concentric work. Even more impressive, research in the International Journal of Sports Medicine revealed that training with emphasis on the eccentric phase resulted in increases of up to 40% in muscle development compared to conventional concentric training. The eccentric phase offers unique advantages for muscle growth: greater mechanical tension per motor unit, a primary stimulus for hypertrophy, greater recruitment of type 2 muscle fibers, greater production of local growth factors such as IGF-1, possibility of using loads 20 to 30% heavier than in the concentric phase. In practice, many practitioners simply let the weight fall in the eccentric phase, wasting this valuable potential for growth. The correction is simple: deliberately slow down the eccentric phase, dedicating approximately 2 to 3 seconds to the lowering phase in each repetition. An especially effective advanced technique for arms is accentuated eccentric training. This involves lifting the weight normally and then dedicating 3 to 5 seconds to the eccentric phase. This technique can be particularly effective for overcoming plateaus in arm development. To implement this effectively, you'll probably need to slightly reduce the load, at least initially. This is not a concession. It's a superior strategy to maximize hypertrophy. As an experienced trainer once told me, the muscle doesn't know how much weight is on the bar. It only knows how much tension it's feeling. If you're making some of these errors, don't worry. Most practitioners go through this at some point. The important thing is to recognize them and methodically correct them. Remember that muscle building is a gradual process that requires consistency, patience, and proper technique. There are no magic shortcuts, but avoiding these common errors will certainly accelerate your results. Apply these corrections in your arm training and observe the difference in the coming weeks and months. You'll likely notice not only accelerated growth, but also less joint discomfort and a better mind-muscle connection. If you liked this and also want to discover the silly errors men make in chest training that prevent the growth of this muscle, we've left a video appearing right now on screen showing each one better and also how to fix them. Don't miss it. Thank you for watching this far, and may God bless you, my friend.